Hey student armies, welcome back to Diksha Vedantu channel. This is your master teacher Navya, and in today's session we will be continuing with body fluid and circulation. Right? Okay, so yeah, before starting today's session, once I would like to confirm that am I audible, students? So is my PPT visible for you all? And let me check if my voice is audible. Just give me a second. Wait, let's check. So is my PPT visible for you? Yes. Okay, so the live has started. Okay. Yeah, and like you all know by now that we have, opened learning centers all over the nation, right? In Punjab, Rajasthan, Maharashtra, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, and Telangana, Odisha, Andhra Pradesh. Almost in most of the states we have opened the centers, offline centers, right? Find the nearest offline centers and do join there, and there are only limited seats left. So for much more queries you can contact this number, right? So yeah, quickly call. There are limited seats left, so as soon as possible, if you want personal attention from us, then contact this number as soon as possible and join your nearest offline centers, right? Okay, so yeah, we'll get started with our today's session, the body fluid and circulation. Right, already in the previous session have started this concept wherein we studied about the blood, components of blood in depth. We studied about red blood cells, white blood cells, platelets in depth, and then we even studied about the mechanism of blood clotting or coagulation of blood. Right, after that we even studied about the structure of heart, and before that we even covered blood grouping system in human being, right? ABO grouping, RH grouping, and we even studied about the fetalysis, right? The thing which the RH incompatibility concept also has been covered in the previous session. After that we even studied about the structure of heart, right? So if you have missed the previous session, then you can watch that session. I have attached the link in the description, right? Okay, so without delaying much, let's get started with our today's session, right? Wherein today we'll be studying about the blood vessels, and then we'll also study about the circulation of blood in human heart, and then we'll also be studying about double circulation, heartbeat, what is pulse, right? We'll be studying about the pulse as well. Fine. So yeah, let's get started with today's session. So yes, our first topic in this session is blood vessels, right? I have already told you all now that what is the function of blood. What is the main function of blood? It transports nutrients, oxygen, and also important certain elements also. It helps in the removal of waste material as well, and it also transports hormone within our body, right? It keeps the organs connected within our body. What? The blood. So here the blood is behaving like a vehicle which is carrying the nutrients, oxygen, hormones from one place to another place in our body, right? Now for this for the blood which is behaving like a vehicle, it requires a pathway for it to flow, right? So the pathway is nothing but, in our body it is blood vessel. Within blood vessel, the blood flows by carrying nutrients, hormones, and gaseous molecule, right? So there are two types of blood vessels mainly, like it is artery, veins, and the third one is capillary. Capillary is been derived from artery only, and then finally it joins veins. Okay, so here the blood vessel that is entering human heart, see first, where does the blood enter in our body, like which part in our heart? There are 4 chambers, right? First the blood enters into right atrium through superior vena cava and inferior vena cava, right? And then what happens? From right atrium the blood moves to right ventricle, and from right ventricle the blood is pumped to lungs. Who carries it? It is pulmonary artery, and then in lungs the deoxygenated blood is converted to oxygenated blood, and then the oxygenated blood is brought back to heart, through which vessel? It is pulmonary veins. And then the blood, it enters from pulmonary veins, it enters, you know, the left this one atrium first, and from left atrium the oxygenated blood moves to left ventricle, and from left ventricle aorta carries this oxygenated blood from the left ventricle to different parts of the body. Okay, see here, right atrium the blood enters through superior vena cava and inferior vena cava, and to left ventrium, that is the oxygenated blood, is carried by pulmonary veins. So these three are actually veins. Okay, and then from right ventricle the oxygenated blood is carried out, right? Pulmonary artery, from the right ventricle the pulmonary artery carries the deoxygenated blood to lungs, right? So this is pulmonary artery carries that, and from you know, from left ventricle the oxygenated blood is pumped to different parts of the body, and the blood flows through aorta, nothing but after aorta. See, aorta is actually bit, the diameter is thick, the diameter is more, the thinner diameter than aorta is atrium, and then the atrium further reduces its thickness into capillaries. Why? Because as the atrium will be carrying oxygenated blood, and the oxygen will have to diffuse into the cells that are present in our body, and if the atrium is very thick, it cannot penetrate between the cells. Therefore the atrium further divides and forms capillary. That's how it works. So don't worry about that, we'll be studying that in this, we'll be studying that concept in depth as we go further. As of now, try to understand that there are three important blood vessels: veins, arteries and capillary. Veins carry deoxygenated blood to heart, okay, and whereas pulmonary veins carry oxygenated blood from lungs to heart. In general, what is the function of veins? The veins, it carries blood towards the heart. The vein, it is carrying blood towards the heart. Which one? Oxygenated blood towards the heart. Whereas pulmonary veins is also carrying blood towards the heart, but which type of blood? Oxygenated blood from the lungs. Whereas atrium, what is the function of artery? Artery, it carries blood away from the heart. Okay, see, the artery, it carries oxygenated blood away from the heart, whereas pulmonary artery carries deoxygenated blood away from the heart to the lungs. Okay, it might be confusing for you all right now, but as we go further, you will, I'm 100% sure that confusion will be gone by the end of this session. All your doubts will be clarified. Okay, if in case if you have any doubt, feel free to comment in the comment section. Okay, fine. Yeah, so like I've told you, what happens, let's see the blood vessel that is entering into heart. Okay, see here, the right atrium receives blood from two vessels. One is superior vena cava and the other one is inferior vena cava. These two are veins only. See, this is your superior vena cava and this is your inferior vena cava. Okay, from superior vena cava, it brings deoxygenated blood from the upper part of the body, like from your head part. Okay, whereas inferior vena cava, it brings deoxygenated blood from lower part of the body, and it enters into your right atrium. First it enters right atrium. Okay, fine. And then the blood vessel entering the heart, the left atrium also, whereas this is your left atrium. The left atrium, it receives oxygenated blood. Okay, who brings oxygenated blood? It is pulmonary veins that brings oxygenated blood from lungs. And then what is present? Left ventricle. This is your left ventricle. From left ventricle, the oxygenated blood is carried out from aorta. And then the aorta, here it is thick. As it moves further, it becomes thinner, and that is called as artery. And the artery further divides into branches, that is capillary. Okay, clear with that? Fine. And also see the blood leaving the heart, that is the pulmonary artery leaves right ventricle. See, this is your right ventricle. From right ventricle, the deoxygenated blood is carried to lungs. And which vessel is this? It is your pulmonary artery. Fine. Then there is, aorta. I told you, from left ventricle, the oxygenated blood leaves the heart. Who carries it? It is aorta that carries oxygenated blood. Clear with that? Okay, fine. So now I want you all to answer to this. See, the blood vessel of the heart that carries blood to all part of the body. So from heart, the blood is pumped to different parts of the body, right? So, like, what does our heart pumps? Which type of blood is being pumped from the heart to the different parts of the body? It is oxygenated blood. So from left ventricle, the oxygenated blood is pumped out, right? Who is carrying that oxygenated blood? Is it pulmonary artery or aorta? Is it option A or option B? It is option B. Okay, whereas your pulmonary artery, what is it doing? That carries deoxygenated blood. That is carrying the deoxygenated blood from right ventricle to the lungs. Okay, always the function of artery or something, see, that starts with A. It is always taking blood away from the heart. Whereas veins, it is bringing the blood towards the heart. Clear with that? Okay, so now what is aorta? So it is nothing but it is a type of blood vessel which carries oxygenated blood from left ventricle to different parts of the body. Okay, fine. So yeah, now I want you all to answer to these questions. See, identify the blood vessel that allows the flow of blood into the heart. So the blood vessel that allows the flow of blood into the heart. Superior, is it superior and inferior vena cava, or is it superior vena cava and aorta, or is it pulmonary veins and pulmonary artery, or is it aorta and pulmonary artery? What is the right answer? What is the right answer? Is it superior and inferior vena cava, or is it superior vena cava and aorta, or is it pulmonary veins and pulmonary artery, or is it aorta and pulmonary artery? It is superior and inferior vena cava. I told you now, the superior vena cava, it brings deoxygenated blood from upper part of the body, whereas inferior vena cava, it brings deoxygenated blood from lower part of the body. So nothing but the deoxygenated blood is brought back into the heart, okay? Whereas why not, see, superior vena cava, okay, aorta, what is aorta doing? It is pumping the, like, it is taking away the oxygenated blood from heart to different parts of the body. So this is not the answer, that's why this is wrong. Whereas pulmonary vein, what is pulmonary veins doing? The pulmonary veins, it actually carries oxygenated blood towards the heart. So it is bringing blood towards the heart, whereas pulmonary artery is taking the blood away, but then vein it is bringing back. Therefore, even this is not your right answer. Aorta it takes out, and pulmonary artery also takes deoxygenated blood away from the heart, right? So even this is not the right answer. Therefore, option A is the right answer. Fine, clear with that? Okay. So the number of pulmonary veins entering left atrium are, how many number of pulmonary veins are entering left atrium? Is it 4, 6, 2 or 8? So here what is pulmonary veins doing? It carries oxygenated blood from lungs. It is carrying the oxygenated blood from lungs to the left atrium, right? So how many pulmonary veins are entering? Is it 4, 2, 6 or 8? It is 4. Okay, fine. Next, dash atrium of the heart receives oxygen rich blood from the pulmonary. Okay, so which part of the heart, which chamber receives the oxygenated blood? It is receiving from pulmonary. Is it pulmonary artery or pulmonary vein? Is it pulmonary artery or pulmonary vein? Hi Mani, good morning. So which one? It is left atrium. Left atrium receives oxygen rich blood from pulmonary veins. So your option B is the right answer. Fine. Okay. Now we'll study about the circulation of blood in human heart. Okay. So now, which chamber of the heart receives deoxygenated blood? Which chamber of the heart receives deoxygenated blood? Which, there are 4 chambers, right? Out of that, which chamber receives deoxygenated blood? Comment in the comment section which chamber receives the deoxygenated blood. It is right atrium of the heart that receives deoxygenated blood from superior and inferior vena cava. Okay, fine. So now let's see how the blood is being circulated in the heart. Okay, see, like you all know, first from the superior and inferior vena cava, the deoxygenated blood enters right atrium, right? And then what happens? See here, the left ventricle, here left atrium receives oxygenated blood. We'll come to this later. So this is the first thing that is happening, right? The right atrium, then what happens? It contracts. When it contracts, the valve that is present between the right atrium and the right ventricle opens. Which valve is present? It is tricuspid valve. And then what happens? The deoxygenated blood enters the right ventricle. Okay, clear with that? And then what happens when this part contracts? When this part contracts, what happens? The tricuspid and bicuspid valve closes. When that closes, it produces the first sound, that is lup. And one more thing, all these are happening simultaneously. See, when this part is relaxed, the right atrium is relaxed, it is receiving deoxygenated blood from superior and inferior vena cava. And when the left atrium is relaxed, that is receiving oxygenated blood from the lungs. And who brings it? It is pulmonary veins, right? And then what happens when both the atrium, when it contracts, here ventricle relaxes. So when it relaxes, what happens? Deoxygenated blood enters here. Here the tricuspid valve will open, whereas in this case it is bicuspid valve which opens, which is also called as mitral valve, that opens, right? And the oxygenated blood enters here. Fine. And after entering, what happens? Tricuspid and bicuspid valve will close. When it closes, the sound lub is produced. Fine. And then what is happening? The right ventricle and left ventricle will contract like this. When that contracts, what happens? See here, the deoxygenated blood is carried by pulmonary artery to the lungs. And which valve is present in between? It is pulmonary semilunar valve opens. And in case of this left ventricle, what happens when the left ventricle contracts? The valve that is present between the left ventricle and aorta opens. What is that valve that is present there? What is it called as? It is aortic semilunar valve. And then the blood enters aorta, right? Okay. And then both the ventricle relaxes, and when the semilunar valve closes, then the sound dub is produced. So when the, see your heart, when the heart contracts and relaxes, this is the sound that is produced, right? Lub dub. So the lub is produced when the tricuspid and bicuspid valve closes, and dub sound is produced when this pulmonary semilunar valve and aortic semilunar valve closes. Okay, clear with that? Fine. And this is how the blood flows. This is the cycle. Fine. So for your understanding purpose, I have added this image. You can refer this later. Anyway, I'll provide you these notes. Fine. Okay. So now the blood enters the right ventricle when dash valve opens. So what is the valve that is present between right atrium and right ventricle? So when the blood is entering into the right ventricle, dash valve opens. Is it bicuspid or tricuspid? See, already in the previous session I have discussed about the valves that are present. Okay, I even showed you the diagram that why it is called as bicuspid, why is it called as tricuspid, and all that. So here the valve that is present between the right atrium and right ventricle is your tricuspid valve. that opens. Okay, fine. Why tricuspid and bicuspid valves close during the blood circulation in heart? Why? I want you all to answer to this. Why does these valve closes during blood circulation? First of all, what is the function of valves? I've already, let me give you a clue. See here, what is the function of valve? The function of valve is to prevent the backward flow of the blood, to make sure that the blood flows in one direction, right? That's why it closes. So now you tell me why this tricuspid and bicuspid valve closes in the comment section. Okay, fine. So yeah, now I want you all to answer to these questions. Okay, so when the right and left atrium contracts, dash and dash valve opens. So what is the valve that is present between right atrium and right ventricle, and what is the valve that is present between left atrium and left ventricle? Is it tricuspid and semilunar, or is it semilunar and bicuspid, or is it tricuspid and bicuspid, or is it tricuspid and pulmonary? It is your option C, tricuspid and bicuspid valve. Okay, fine. Next, the closing of tricuspid and bicuspid valve during the blood circulation, it prevents the backward flow of blood into, is it atrium, or is it ventricle, or is it pulmonary artery, or is it aorta? Which one? It is atrium. See, always from atrium the blood flows into ventricle. Once it flows, then what happens? The valve closes, right? So by closing the valve, what happens? Again, the blood will not flow back to the atrium, because from atrium only the blood flows into ventricle. Okay, clear with that? Fine. Next, which condition will lead to the opening of the semilunar valve in heart? Is it when both the atrium contracts, or when the both ventricle contracts, or when one atrium and one ventricle contracts, or when one atrium contracts and one ventricle relaxes? So when does this, which condition will lead to the opening of semilunar valve? What are your semilunar valves? One is the pulmonary semilunar valve and the other one is aortic semilunar valve. So the pulmonary semilunar valve is present between the right ventricle and the pulmonary artery, whereas the aortic semilunar valve is present between left ventricle and aorta, right? When does this semilunar valve opens? So it is present between ventricle and the blood vessel, right? So when both the ventricle contracts, then the semilunar valve opens. Okay, see here, both the ventricle has to contract. Fine. Okay. Yeah, so now let's study about the double circulation and heartbeat. Okay, fine. So give a schematic process of blood circulation in human heart. So this is a homework question for you all. I want you all to, you can write it in a sheet and then send the pic of that. Okay, or you can upload it. You can send in Telegram channel, or you can even mail us. I'll check your schematic representation of, the schematic process of blood circulation in human heart. You can write it in a sheet of paper and send it to us. I'll check it. Okay, fine. So now, you know that our circulatory system is also called as double circulation. Why? It's because the blood enters heart twice. One in oxygenated form and the other one is deoxygenated form, right? That's why it is called as double circulation. See, like you can see in this diagram what is happening. See, from these are the tissues that are present in our body, different organs that are present in our body. From different organs or our body tissues, from the body tissues, the deoxygenated blood is carried by veins to heart. So now the deoxygenated blood enters into heart, and from heart the deoxygenated blood is carried by pulmonary artery to the lungs, And over there in lungs, what is happening? The deoxygenated blood is converted to oxygenated blood, and then the oxygenated blood is carried by pulmonary veins to heart. And then from the heart, the arteries carries oxygenated blood to different parts of the body. This is how the cycle works. Okay, so like in heart, like you can see, the blood is entering twice. One in deoxygenated form and then the oxygenated form. That's why it is called as double circulation. And the double circulation, it involves two pathways. One is the pulmonary circulation and the other one is systemic circulation. So the pulmonary circulation is the circulation that is happening between the heart and the lungs. Like I have told you, when the heart receives deoxygenated blood, the deoxygenated blood is pumped to the lungs, and then from the lungs, the oxygenated blood is pumped to heart. So this circulation between the heart and lung is called as pulmonary circulation, whereas systemic circulation is the circulation that is happening between heart and different body parts. Like I have told you, from different parts of the body, the deoxygenated blood is pumped to the heart. Okay, and then what happens? The heart, it pumps oxygenated blood to different parts of the body. Alright, so this circulation between heart and different parts of the body, that is called as systemic circulation. So in your exams also you will have to mention this double circulation involves two pathways. One is pulmonary circulation and the other one is systemic circulation. Fine. Like I have told you, see the pulmonary circulation, what happens? Here it is the blood pumped by right ventricle enters pulmonary artery, and then the deoxygenated blood, it is passed on to lungs. So this is between the heart and lungs. The oxygenated blood is carried by pulmonary veins into the left ventricle. That is your pulmonary circulation. Whereas systemic circulation is when the oxygenated blood from aorta is carried to the tissues, and then the deoxygenated blood is collected by vena cava and empties into the right atrium. Nothing but this circulation is between the heart and different parts of the body. That is your systemic circulation. What is it doing? It provides nutrients, oxygen and other essential substances like hormone to the tissues, and it also takes back the carbon dioxide and harmful substances away from the tissues for its elimination. Because see, the removal of those waste material is also important from our body, right? Why? In case if those waste substances, if it gets accumulated in our body, then it can turn into a toxic substance which will be very much harmful for us. It can lead to death also. So to prevent that, our body has got certain mechanism which plays important role in removing these waste material, and blood, it carries that waste material away from the tissues. Okay, clear with that? Fine. Now let's talk about heartbeat. We'll also focus on pulse and all that. Hi Imalata, good morning. Okay, so here the heart, you know, the cardiac muscle, it contracts and relaxes. It follows a certain pattern, right? And how many times does it beat? It is 70 to 72 times per minute. Okay, that is the normal heartbeat. Fine. Okay, so now I want you all to answer to this. See, in double circulation, the blood passes dash times through the heart. Is it 2 or 4 times? How many times does it pass the heart? Is it 2 times or 4 times? Is it just 2 times or 4 times? It is 2 times. Okay, fine. So what is double circulation? I've just explained you what is double circulation, what are all the 2 types of circulation that is involved, and what is happening in systemic circulation and what is happening in pulmonary circulation, right? So now I want you all to answer to this question. What is double circulation? In case if this is asked for 2 marks, just in one sentence, I want you all to answer to this. Comment your answers in the comment section. What is double circulation? How can you define double circulation? Okay, fine. So yeah, now I've got quiz for you all. I want you all to answer to this. Okay, so a correct systemic circulation pathway is, so I've explained, right, what is systemic circulation. So what is the correct sequence? Out of these 4 options, which is the correct sequence? So is it from right atrium to left ventricle? Is this true? aorta tissue veins, or is it right ventricle to aorta? No. Is it left atrium to left ventricle to aorta, and then to the tissues, and then veins, and then right atrium? Okay. What about option D, left atrium to ventricle to pulmonary aorta? No. So your option C is the right answer. Okay. Option C is the right answer. Fine. Next, the normal heartbeat in a healthy human body is how many times? Is it 70 to 72 times per minute, or is it 20 to 25 times per minute, or is it 40 to 52 times per minute, or is it 90 to 92 times per minute? Yes, Yemalata, option C was the right answer for the first question. Now, what is the answer for this question? What is the normal heartbeat in healthy human body is? Yes, it is option A. Yes. Okay. So next, see the circulation which provides nutrients, oxygen and essential substance to the tissue and takes carbon dioxide and other harmful substances away for elimination is which circulation? Pulmonary circulation. Are you sure with that, Hemalata? Is it pulmonary circulation or is it systemic circulation? Is it single circulation or both B and C? What is the right answer for this? Is it pulmonary circulation or is it systemic circulation? Think. I've explained, right? Is it pulmonary or systemic? No, 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 it's not option D. It is option B, systemic circulation. See here what is happening. Here the circulation which provides nutrients, oxygen, right? See the blood. Yes, yes. No, not D, it is B. Systemic circulation. Systemic circulation is the right answer. Okay, fine. So now let's study about what is meant by pacemaker and then blood vessels and their characteristics, pulses and also blood pressure. We'll be studying about all this. Now we'll be covering these topics. Okay. See, always remember the pulmonary circulation is the one that is happening between the heart and the lungs, whereas systemic circulation is between heart and different parts of the body. See, from heart, the oxygenated blood is carried by artery to different parts of the body, and from different parts of the body, the carbon dioxide is brought back to the heart, right? So there in the question also it had mentioned, right? Here, see, the circulation which provides nutrients, oxygen and essential substance to the tissue and takes carbon dioxide and other harmful substance away. It is your systemic circulation. Okay, fine. Now let's study about pacemaker. See now here in the heart, see I told you our cardiac muscle, it rhythmically contracts and relaxes, right? Can it do just like that without any? See now let's say if you want to pump, see in our houses also, let's say the water is stored in the, the tank that is present in the ground floor, and now let's say from that tank it will have to pump upward, right? So we require a motor which plays important role in pumping, right? So now in our heart also there is something which actually causes that contraction and relaxation, right? When the contraction and relaxation happens, the blood is pumped. Good morning, Hero. Good morning. Yeah. Okay. So now, what is it that is present in our heart that causes contraction and relaxation? There are certain nodes that are present, okay? There is sinoatrial node, and then there are certain ventricle nodes. We'll study about that now. See, your sinoatrial node is present in this. See, the one that is present in the right corner, right upper corner of the atrium, right atrium, that is your sinoatrial node. And why is this called as pacemaker? Because this is the one which actually causes and also maintains the contraction and relaxation of the heart. Okay, clear with that? How is it actually maintaining and how is it actually causing the contraction and relaxation? It generates impulse or command to start the heartbeat. So which is it that is generating impulse, for the heartbeat to happen? It is sinoarterial node, or you can remember it as SA also, SA node. Sinoarterial. Okay, and then this is atrioventricular node. The atrioventricular node is present in the lower corner of the right atrium itself. Okay, so what is it doing? It will conduct the impulse that is generated by SA, okay, to other parts of the heart. Now the blood will have to be pumped from right atrium to ventricle, right? Oh, you want 99 pacemaker. Okay, yeah, fine. So this conducts the impulse from, you know, SA, sinoarterial node, to other parts of the heart. Okay, where is it present? It is present in the lower left corner of the right atrium. Okay, and then comes, there is bundle of HIS. This is a fiber, a muscular fiber that is present in the heart. You can see over here, this one. This entire thing that is present is the muscle fiber. What is it doing? See, it begins from AV node and it extends to the wall of ventricle. It is also divided into right and left bundles. Okay, fine. And then Purkinje fiber, these are minute fiber throughout the ventricular musculature of the respective side of the heart. So it is present on both the sides. It actually starts from your bundle of HIS. Okay, clear with that? And then see here, like I told you, the SA node is called as the pacemaker. Why? Bye, Hero. Have a great day. Yes. So this is responsible for initiating and maintaining the rhythmic contraction and relaxation, right? That's why it is called as pacemaker. So it is SA node that actually initiates the contraction and relaxation of the heart, and that impulse is carried by AV nodes, and then there are bundle of HIS. All these maintains that. It will transfer that impulse within the heart. Okay, what are the functions of pacemaker? That is the main function. See our heart, it will have to contract and relax to pump the blood. Who is it that is initiating the contraction and relaxation? There are certain nodes that are present. In that, SA node is the one that will generate the impulse. Okay, that will generate the impulse so that the contraction and relaxation must occur. That is the function of SA node, that is sinoarterial node. Okay, clear with that? See, there are sinoarterial nodes, and then there is, you know, atrioventricular node, and then there is bundle of HIS, and then comes your Purkinje fibers. All these, what it does within heart is, see, the impulse that is generated by SA node will be transmitted by these, which will facilitate the contraction and relaxation of the heart. Okay, fine. So now, see, SAN stands for, is it sinoarterial node or is it single atrium node? Is it sinoarterial or is it single atrium node? Is it sinoarterial or single atrium node? It is sinoarterial node. Okay, fine. So now, what is SAN in human heart? So I just explained about sinoarterial node, right? So now I want you all to comment in the comment section that what is sinoarterial node doing and why is it also called as pacemaker. Okay, fine. Okay, so now answer to these questions. Which of the following is known as the pacemaker of the heart? Is it atrioventricular node, or is it sinoarterial node, or is it bundle of HIS, or is it Purkinje fiber? Which one? Which is called as the pacemaker of heart? It is option B, sinoarterial node, which is present in the upper right corner of the right atrium. Okay. Next, the pacemaker is situated in, I just told you, see the walls of right atrium or walls of left atrium Or is it the walls of right ventricle, or is it the walls of left ventricle? Where is pacemaker situated? I just answered right. It is your option A, the walls. Yes. The B, yes, B was for the first question. So for this it is A. So next question, answer to this. What will happen if the pacemaker stop working? So if the pacemaker stops working, what will happen? Only the atrium will contract rhythmically, or the heart muscle will not contract rhythmically, or only the ventricle will contract rhythmically, or atrium and ventricle contract simultaneously. So here the sinoatrial walls are, these nodes are present in the right atrium. So now let's say there is no pacemaker. Then what happens? Only atrium will contract, is it? Or is it the heart muscle will not contract rhythmically, or is it only the ventricle will contract? Or is it the atrium and ventricle contract simultaneously? See, I already explained, right? This SA node, it generates impulse, right? That impulse will initiate and will also maintains the contraction and relaxation of the heart, I told. I didn't mention if it is only in ventricle or when only in artery, right? So if the pacemaker is not there, then the heart muscle will not contract rhythmically. That rhythmic contraction and relaxation will not be there if the pacemaker is not, if it stops working. Okay, fine. Next, we'll study about the blood vessels and its characteristics. What are all the blood vessels that are present? We have arteries, veins and capillary, right? We'll study the properties of those blood vessels as well. Now, why is SAN called the pacemaker of heart? Again, so I want you all to comment answer for this question, right? Okay, so like I have told you, we have arteries, 3 important blood vessels in our body, the arteries, veins and capillary. Okay, fine. See what is artery doing? See, artery, it carries oxygenated blood away from the heart to different parts of the body. See, artery, remember this, the first letter is A, so therefore it is always carrying blood away from the heart. See, the pacemaker, it is found in heart palak. Where exactly in heart? In the right atrium. In the right atrium. The pacemaker is nothing but it is sinoatrial node. That node is present in the upper right corner of the right atrium. That is the one which generates impulse. When the impulse is generated, what happens? That impulse will be carried by other nodes that are present in the heart. So this will facilitate the rhythmic contraction and relaxation of the heart. That's why it is also called as pacemaker. What is also called as pacemaker? SA node is also called as pacemaker. Okay, fine. And like I told you, see, artery A starts with A. It always carries blood away from the heart. So artery, it carries blood away from the heart. Which one? The oxygenated blood away from the heart. Whereas pulmonary artery is the one, yes, that it's because artery is there, yes, it is carrying blood away from the heart, but which blood? Pulmonary artery carries deoxygenated blood away from the heart, whereas artery carries blood away from the heart but oxygenated one. AA, but it is always carrying away only. Keep that in mind. Okay, you're welcome, Palak. Fine. See, it carries blood away from the heart to different parts of the body. And how is the walls of this? See, the artery, it has got, look at the wall. Look at the wall. It is very thick. Whereas this portion, the hollow portion diameter is thin. So now why the artery walls are thick? It is to tolerate. It is thick, it is elastic and it is muscular in nature, right? Now, what is the function of why is the walls very thick? It's because, see, when the oxygenated blood is pumped from the heart, it is pumped with high pressure. So to tolerate that high pressure, the walls of the arteries are thick. In case if the walls of the arteries are not thick, then because of that high pressure, the artery may rupture. So to prevent that rupture, the artery walls are thick. Okay, clear with that? Fine. See the blood flow in artery with high pressure with jerk, because the heart keeps on pumping, right? So they do not have any walls, because because they're pumped with a high pressure, they flows in one direction only. That's why they don't require artery. Whereas to tolerate that pressure, the walls are thick. That's it. Okay, see, artery carries oxygenated blood except pulmonary artery. All the arteries carries oxygenated blood away from the heart. Like I told you, only the pulmonary artery, it carries deoxygenated blood away from the heart to the lungs. So, but then what you will have to remember is, always artery carries blood away from the heart, and only pulmonary artery carries deoxygenated blood away from the heart. Clear with that? Okay. Then, like I told you, see, this is aorta, which is coming out of the heart, and then once it starts, penetrating into the body tissue, the thickness reduces into, that is artery, and then it further reduces, that is arteriole, and finally, like I told you, it further divides into branches, that is capillary. So in these blood vessels, the blood carrying oxygen is flowing, and when these vessels penetrate between the cells, what happens? The oxygen that is present in the blood will diffuse into the cells. That will diffuse into the cells. Okay, and then what happens? From the cell, and then what happens? From the cell, once the cell utilizes oxygen, certain reactions will take place. After the reaction, certain byproducts will be released, which is not important for our body. So those substances will be taken back. Now, for example, carbon dioxide, that will diffuse back into the blood vessel, and then it will join venules, then comes veins, and then the vena cava, which carries deoxygenated blood. That's how it works. Okay. Clear with that? See, the arteries form thinner vessels, nothing but branches, that is called as arteriole. It further divides to form capillaries, and finally capillaries will join venules, and then comes veins, and then the vena cava. Okay, fine. Now talking about veins. See, arteries carry blood away from the heart, whereas veins, it carries blood towards the heart. It is towards heart. Okay, so here it carries blood from different parts of the body towards the heart, and here how are the walls in case of veins? It is thin, because see, the blood is being carried from different parts of the body, right? And therefore the pressure won't be high. Okay, therefore it's because the pressure is not that high. What happens is that there are chances of blood flowing back. Therefore there are valves that are present in the veins to prevent the backward flow. Okay, fine. See, here the blood flows through the veins with a steady flow, and pressure is lower than that of artery. See, I told you these are the walls that are present. Once the blood enters, again it will not flow backward. Why? Because the walls are present in veins. Okay, the veins, like I told you, it carries deoxygenated blood away from the heart, right? Whereas the pulmonary veins, it carries deoxygenated blood towards the heart. What? Veins. Whereas pulmonary veins, it carries oxygenated blood from lungs towards the heart. So here veins, it always carries blood towards the heart. Okay, clear with that? Fine. So like I've already told you, the smaller blood vessel that carries blood to vein are called venules. See, again venules, it further, joins veins. What will happen if there is no blood vessels? See, yeah, a nice question. See, what happens is that, see, we human beings are multicellular organism, right? And what is the function of blood? Blood is the one which is behaving like that transport system, right? The blood is the one which carries nutrients, oxygen and hormones to different cells in our body. In our body, every cells, I told you we are multicellular organism, and each and every cell will be performing certain reactions, biochemical reactions, which is important for our survival. Right. Now for those reaction to occur, our cells will require oxygen, it will require nutrients and all that. Right. So who carries that nutrients and oxygen to those cells? It is blood. The blood is behaving like a vehicle. Okay. It's because we are multicellular organism, the blood, it cannot diffuse from one cell to another cell. Here diffusion will not work. Because we are multicellular organism, and if diffusion were to take place, then it will take years to reach the target cell. Therefore, anyway the blood is behaving like a vehicle. Now the blood requires a pathway to flow. So what is blood vessel doing? Blood vessel is letting the blood flow through it, so that it can reach the target cell as fast as possible. In case if the blood vessels are not there, then it is through diffusion those nutrients will have to pass. It will have to reach the target cell through diffusion, and diffusion will not work in us because we are multicellular organism, and it will take longer period of time. That's what will happen if the blood vessel is not there. And then it's because it is taking longer period of time, our body cannot wait for such longer period of time for nutrients and all that, therefore will eventually die. So blood vessels are very important. Okay. Fine. Now, the thin-walled microscopic vessel that connects arterioles and venules is capillary. Like I told you, first the artery, it carries oxygenated blood from the heart. So, from heart when it is coming out, it is aorta, the wall is very thick. Okay. And you know that our body, what is the building block of our body? It is cell. Cell together forms tissue, and tissue together forms organs, right? You're welcome, Palak. You're welcome. Right, so now what happens? The aorta, which is carrying oxygenated blood, that oxygen will have to be delivered to the target region. Right. So now this blood vessel, which is carrying oxygen, that is your aorta, it further becomes thinner as it moves to the different parts of the body. That is your artery. And then what happens? The artery, it is bit thick. It cannot penetrate between the cells. See, if the oxygen has to be delivered to the cell, then that blood vessel will have to be present next to the cell, right? So now what should happen? That blood vessel carrying the oxygenated blood will have to penetrate between cells, which is highly impossible if the vessels are thick. Therefore, those vessels will further divide into capillaries. These capillaries are very thin and they will penetrate between the cells, and when it reaches those cells, the oxygen will be diffused. Not just oxygen, even nutrients, hormones will be diffused into the cell. So after these important elements, important substances entering into the cell, what happens? Within the cell, so many reactions will take place. After the particular reaction, what happens? The important product that is needed for our body will be generated. Along with that, certain byproducts will also be released, which is not needed for our body. Now, for example, let's say the respiration takes place within the cell, for which oxygen is required, glucose is required. After respiration, energy is generated, which is needed for our body. Along with energy, even carbon dioxide is also released, which is not needed for our body. Right. Then what happens? The carbon dioxide which is released in the cell will diffuse back into the blood vessel, this blood capillary. This red color thing that represents oxygenated blood, this blue color thing is representing the deoxygenated blood. And then that carbon dioxide enters into venules. Venules join veins, and then veins will join vena cava. That's how the vena cava is bringing the deoxygenated blood from different parts of the body to the heart. This is how the circulation system works, and that is the role of your blood capillaries. In order to penetrate between the cells, to facilitate the efficient delivery of these oxygen and nutrients into the cell, the blood capillaries comes into picture. They are very thin walled. That's why they are very thin, so that they can penetrate between the cells. And then it connects arterioles and venules. Okay, fine. So what is the function of capillaries? Nutrients, oxygen, gases are transported to the tissue through the blood, and also along with that, the waste material and carbon dioxide gases are carried from the body tissue back to the blood. And then what happens? Blood will help in the removal of those waste material. Now, for example, deoxygenated blood, it reaches heart, from heart it goes to lungs. In lungs, what is happening? When the blood vessel carrying deoxygenated blood, when it reaches lungs, what is happening? the carbon dioxide that is present in the blood capillary will diffuse into the alveoli that is present in the lungs. And in lungs, what is that? We inhale and our lungs will absorb oxygen, right? That oxygen which is present in the alveoli will diffuse into the blood capillary. That's how the deoxygenated blood is converted to oxygenated blood. So here the blood is helping in the removal of carbon dioxide from our body, right? Similarly, certain nitrogenous wastes are also produced in our body. Again, that is carried by blood only, and the blood will carry that nitrogenous waste to the kidney, wherein those nitrogenous wastes will be removed from our body in the form of urine. That's how the blood is also helping in the removal of waste material from our body. Clear with that? Okay. Now, I want you all to answer to this. See, the arteries carry blood, right? It carries blood away from the heart to the body parts, or does it carry towards the heart from different body parts? I told you artery, the first letter is A. So what is it doing? What is it doing? It carries blood away from the heart to different body parts. So option A is the right answer. Okay, fine. What are blood vessels? Now I want you all to comment your answers in the comment section. What are blood vessels? How can you define them? What are all the types of blood vessels that are there? Okay. Okay, so now answer to these questions as well. See, a blood vessel which has small lumen and thick wall is called, so the blood vessel which has got small lumen and thick walls, is it artery or is it vein or is it capillary or is it venule? What is the right answer? What is the right answer? It is artery. Option A is the right answer. Okay, fine. Next, the veins are best defined as blood vessel. So what is it doing? Does it carry blood away from the heart, or is it carry does it carry blood towards the heart, or do they have walls or don't have walls, have thick walls? So what is the right explanation for the veins? I told you arteries carry blood artery carries blood away from the heart, whereas what is vein doing? It carries blood towards the heart. So your option B is the right answer. Okay, fine. Now the smaller vessels in which artery are divided are called. See, the smaller vessels in which arteries are divided are called. See, arteries after dividing into branches, it is called as, is it centriole or is it venules or is it arterioles or is it veins? Which one? It is option C, arterioles. Okay, fine. Now we'll study about pulse. What is pulse and what is blood pressure? You understood about pacemaker, right? So now we'll focus on what is pulse. And you know, right, you can actually feel the pulse if you touch the artery on your left, wrist. You can feel the pulse. I'll tell you what is that pulse and what is blood pressure and all that. Okay, now name the type of blood vessel that is found in human body. You all know it is artery, veins and capillaries. Okay, fine. So now, like you all know, when the heart pumps blood, see, the heart also, it follows a rhythmic contraction and relaxation pattern, right? So when the blood is pumped from the heart, the oxygenated blood, it is carried by artery, right? So in arteries also, when it receives blood, there is, it does not, it is not continuous flow. Yes, the heart pumps, it contracts and relaxes. That time there will be certain fashion that is followed in artery also. Okay, see here the rhythmic contraction and relaxation of the artery with each beat of heart. Even when the heart, when it pumps, the blood comes out. So even in the artery, there will be certain contraction and relaxation that happens in order to facilitate the flow of the blood. That is called as pulse. Okay, this is the rhythmic contraction and relaxation of the arteries, not heart. Most of the students, they think that it is heart. No, it is actually arteries. That is called as pulse. Okay, so each heartbeat, it generates one pulse. So for each beat, there is one pulse that is generated in the artery. So your pulse rate is nothing but number of heartbeats per minute. That is your pulse rate. Ma'am, when the class, okay, this class, this is going to be your last topic. Maybe by before 11 this will end, and then there is one more biology class around 12 o'clock. After that there is chemistry class as well. There is two, and chemistry class is also at 12. Okay, and then yeah, 11:30 probably one more class will start, 11:30 or 12:30. And by today evening, today there is physics class also somewhere in the evening. So late evening the classes will be done today. Okay, yeah. Okay, so the pulse can be, like I told you, it can be easily felt. How? By pressing finger gently over artery such as radial artery of your wrist on the side of the thumb. See here, the thumb, the side here, there is which artery is present? The radial artery. If you touch, you can feel your pulse on both the hands. You can check it. See, even I can feel. Yes. Okay, even you can try that. Okay, see the pulse rate, it increases when you do vigorous physical activities, right? It can be exercise or even in the stressful condition. What happens? Your pulse rate increases. Why? Because when you want to run, let's say when you want to run, you want more energy, right? How do you get energy? You eat food and the food is digested. From the food, the digested nutrients, they will be broken down through a process that is called as respiration. So for the respiration to happen, oxygen is required. So when you run fastly, you start breathing heavily so that your body gets more oxygen. Along with that, your heart also starts beating fastly. Why? So that the heart will pump that oxygenated blood fastly for the respiration to happen, so that the energy will be generated. That's why your pulse rate also increases. Okay, and then the pressure that is exerted by the blood on the walls of the artery is your pulse, right? Now let's say when your ventricle contracts, what happens? The blood flows out through aorta, right? So the pressure that is exerted by the blood as a result of ventricle contraction, when the ventricle contracts, the blood comes out, and with the pressure is created, right? That is called as systolic pressure. Okay, whereas diastolic pressure is when that is created when the ventricle relaxes. When the ventricle relaxes, the pressure that is created on the artery, that pressure is called as diastolic pressure, whereas systolic pressure is the pressure that is created, you know, when the ventricle contracts. Okay, what is pulse rate? I told you, you understood, right? What is pulse? It is the rhythmic contraction and relaxation of your artery with each heartbeat. When the heart beats, the blood pumps out, right? That time there is rhythmic contraction and relaxation in the arteries as well. Okay, pulse rate is nothing but it is the number of heartbeat per minute. That is your pulse rate. And then the number of heartbeat per minute, what is the normal number of heartbeat in a healthy person? It is 70 to 72 times, right? Now when the person, this is the number of heartbeat per minute. This is your pulse rate. Okay, and when the person do vigorous activity, that time the pulse rate increases. Like I told you, because when you're doing excess activity, you require more energy, right? That's why the blood will supply, the more oxygen is required to generate energy for your respiration process, right? That's why the heart starts beating fastly in order to pump the oxygenated, more number of oxygenated blood. That's when the pulse rate increase. That's what I was increasing. Pulse is nothing but it is the rhythmic contraction and relaxation of the arteries with each heartbeat. Okay, and the pulse rate is the number of times the heartbeat per minute. Okay, fine. Now your systolic pressure is 100 to 140 mm of Hg, whereas diastolic pressure is 70 to 90. And you know, right, the blood pressure is checked by a meter that is used. Okay, that is sphygmomanometer. Sphygmomanometer is the instrument that is used to check your blood pressure. Okay, fine. And then the high blood pressure is above 140 by 90. Okay, it is also called as hypertension. And this is not good for our health because it causes the constriction of arteriole. When the arteriole constricts, what happens? It will prevent the blood flow, right? See, if the artery constricts like this, then how will the blood flow? Right? Therefore, you know, the hypertension is not good. It results in increased resistance of blood flow, and that can lead to the rupture of your artery and internal bleeding. Okay? Hi Veeraj, good morning. Fine? Okay. Now, I want you all to answer to this. A pulse is it a contraction of atrium in heart, or is it throbbing of arteries as blood moves through them? Is it the contraction of artery in the atrium in the heart, or is it throbbing of arteries as blood moves through them? What is the right answer for this? What is the right answer for this? It is the throbbing of artery as the blood moves through them. Nothing but even when artery receives blood, even they at times contract and relaxes to facilitate the flow of the blood through them. Okay, so what is blood pressure? I just explained you all. I want you all to comment your answers for this. Fine. So yeah, now I've got quiz for you all. Try to answer to these questions. See, when a doctor is recording your pulse, he is pressing on your wrist exactly on a artery or veins, or is it capillary or arteriole? Is it artery, vein, capillary or arteriole? Option A, B, C or D? It is option A, artery. Okay, fine. In hypertension, the blood pressure is above. Is it 140 by 90, or is it 120 by 60, or is it 110 by 80, or is it 90 by 120? What is the right answer for this? Yes, it is 140 by 90. Okay. Now the systolic blood pressure of an healthy adult human is it 60 mm of Hg, or is it 80 mm of Hg, or is it 100, or is it 120? Any guesses? Is it 60, 80, 100 or 120? It is 120. That is the normal systolic blood pressure of the healthy adult. Okay, fine. So that was all about today's session. No, it was not. It is not 140 by 90. It is 120 is the normal thing. Okay, so in today's session, we started with, the circulation of blood, how the blood flows. We studied that first, the superior and inferior vena cava. It brings deoxygenated blood to the right atrium, and when the right atrium contracts, what happens? The tricuspid valve that is present will open and the blood will enter into right ventricle, right? And when the right ventricle contracts, the pulmonary when that contracts, the wall that is present between right ventricle and the pulmonary artery is pulmonary semilunar valve that opens, and the deoxygenated blood is carried by pulmonary artery to lungs. And then in lungs, what is happening? The deoxygenated blood is converted to oxygenated blood, and then that oxygenated blood is brought back to heart from lungs by pulmonary veins, and then the oxygenated blood enters to left atrium, and when the left atrium contracts, the valve that is present between left atrium and the left ventricle is bicuspid valve. That bicuspid valve will relax, and then the left ventricle will receive the oxygenated blood. And when the left ventricle contracts, the oxygenated blood is carried by aorta to different parts of the body. And the valve that is present between left ventricle and aorta is aortic semilunar valve. That's how the blood is being circulated. And then when the bicuspid and tricuspid valve closes, lub sound is produced. And when the semilunar valve, that is your pulmonary semilunar and aortic semilunar valve closes, dub sound is produced. Okay. And then we spoke about double circulation, which involves two circulation, right? That is pulmonary and systemic circulation. Pulmonary circulation is between the heart and the lungs, whereas systemic circulation is between the heart and different parts of the body. That's what is being explained. And then the rhythmic contraction and relaxation of the heart muscle in a minute form of heartbeat. And then the normal heartbeat in the healthy person, what is the normal number? It is 72 times per minute. That is the normal range of heartbeat in the healthy person. Okay, fine, we covered that. And then we even spoke about pacemaker, right? That is sinoatrial nodes. See, there are certain nodes that are present in heart which will initiate the contraction and relaxation of the heart. It will also maintain the contraction and relaxation of the heart. So one such, this is sinoatrial node, which actually generates certain impulses for the contraction and relaxation of the heart. Okay, we spoke about that. And then we spoke about the three types of blood vessels, that is artery, veins and capillaries in depth. Fine. After that, we even spoke about pulse rate. And then we even just spoke about systolic pressure, diastolic pressure and all that. And we even spoke about the blood pressure. And the instrument that is used to measure the blood pressure is sphygmomanometer. And the high blood pressure, what is the range? It is also called as hypertension. It is above 140/90. Okay, clear with that? Fine. And then in the previous session, we have already spoken about these fluids in our body, the body fluid and circulation, wherein we spoke about blood. We have already spoken about blood, the components of blood, red blood cells, white blood cells. We even spoke about platelets and all that in the previous session itself. And even the structure of heart was covered in the previous session itself. Okay. So yeah, we are done with the body fluid and circulation. Fine. From next session, the respiration topic, we will continue with the respiration topic. I'll be starting with the respiration. Okay. So this is it for the session. In case if you have any doubts, feel free to comment in the comment section. Right. And yeah, thank you all and have a great day.